Passiamo adesso a Giuliano Noci.
And I would like to give the floor to Giuliano Noci, the pro-rector of the Milan Polytechnical Institute. So we're going technical here. Good morning and welcome. So here we are, and I am an engineer, I would like to specify, but also the pro-rector of the Polytechnical Institute, right? Yes. Okay, so from the point of view of an engineer, so we've heard the voice of designer and in designing and architectural studios, but you have a different point of view on the sector. What's your point of view? How do you see the Made in Italy sector? We've talked about the need to be flexible to meet the market needs. Maybe Italy is more virtuous than other European countries from the point of view of sustainability. How do you see these challenges from this point of view? Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me, because I've heard very interesting things, and I wasn't expecting to hear such interesting consideration. Now, let's talk about the Made in Italy in general. I think that in this moment, the Made in Italy is in a moment of disruption. Made in Italy is basically based on the excellence of the product. That's its identity. And the product has a very strong role to play in the market. The changes that are occurring right now see the product as a sine qua non, which is necessary, but not the only aspect of the sales activities. So from the point of view of the sellers of large volumes of products, there is a conflict, a clash with offering premium quality products. And that's where the key for the future of Italian companies lays. But there are some preconditions to be met. And in the world of furniture, for example, or in the world of design in general, the object of the project changes, and its role in the value chain of the project changes, because we're designing more and more an experience, not a product. As architects and designers have already said, an experience is aimed at transforming the usefulness of a product into something which allows us to live better. And this shifts the focus from the product to the customer. And this leads us to the dimension of an ecosystem. And the art directors of the yachting company mentioned the need to integrate this into the company's dimension, because the increase of the intimacy with the customer means expressing the potential of the product to enable us to live better. So we have an extraordinary history of integration between furniture manufacturers and designers. But we need a third element here, the knowledge of the market. And I would like to launch another topic, digital technologies. We've not really talked about them. Digital technologies will become the main element of integration between different dimensions. I've listened to people talking about furniture, lighting, design. But if we go back to the core of it, the family, the entrepreneur does not really need a lightning object, a piece of furniture. They need to have a different experience of using the object. In the world of the Internet of Things, we need integrators, and these integrators are digital technologies. I'm thinking about Confindustria. Why is it divided by categories of products? The customer does not need a product. The customer needs several components organized in a system which meets the customer needs. This is the reality right now. So we are living in an extraordinary moment, and even if we've been successful, we should not rest on our laurels, because what I want from you is not only a tailor-made product, I want you to allow me to live and work better. And this is where personalization comes from. And this is not the domain of a company, but of a system. So you think that companies should change their point of view. The product is an instrument to allow customers to live an experience. I always quote from Drucker. When he worked for Black & Decker, he said, "You only see us as a company which manufactures drills, and you think you're the best in making drills, but the customer does not need a drill. The customer needs to make a hole, and you must help customers to make holes very well. In order to know how to make holes in a good way, we need to know the context where the hole is to be made, and you must know the expertise of the individual making holes." And we're seeing that this is happening in the world of furniture. Let's think about IKEA. So you think that we should include other skills in companies. I really liked what somebody said before, the horizontal integration, because the Italian companies are made of silos, because this is our entrepreneurial culture. And the Italian entrepreneur likes to generate silos. So I think that we should disrupt this approach. So instead of divide et impera, we should think about cross-disciplinary approaches. We talk about a chief customer specialist, not product specialists now in the most innovative companies. Of course, we lack skills. The first skill we lack is more skills on data. We need more skills on data. And I think I could speak hours about the meaning of data in your sectors. Another skill which is lacking is the being open to penetration by the digital world. And some years ago, I worked with a company which worked on this. Let's think about Milan. In Milan, people live in houses which are 70 square meters. During the pandemics, their set of expectations has changed. Somebody was mentioning the contamination between working spaces and living spaces. Well, if my house is 70 square meters, how can I reconcile living well with working well? In this case, we need integration. The Internet of Things, the software, the digital technologies all come together in different configurations. And we should study solutions by which the arrangement of furniture changes according to my needs, which are also working needs. So, for example, lighting should be integrated with where the sofa is, for example. On that sofa, maybe I want to work, but also watch the football match. And I would like to draw conclusions here. We need a change in culture, because if for 40 years your company has worked in a silos, the lady who spoke before said that it's difficult to bring about this change. Maybe your company is extraordinary because you said everybody is happy in your company. So maybe yours is an extraordinary company, but in most companies, people are not happy because most companies have basically bought entrepreneurs, and they like to only work in their small yard, let's say. It's a metaphor, of course, which indicates that in the world of furniture, in the world of design, you tend to think that small is beautiful, but I think smart is beautiful. If you're able to read trends, you're beautiful. Well, I think that this tendency to work in your small yard is a problem. Is it possible that all of your children are the managers of your companies? Well, maybe your DNA is fantastic. And this has to do with the level of managerial skills. So we've got a great potential for innovation in this sector. And paradoxically, the social and economic changes in the post-pandemic society are important, and the strengths of the Made in Italy can become weaknesses, so we must be careful. Now, in terms of innovation, what is Italian university doing? How can Italian universities improve their action? Well, now we're among the first 5 polytechnical institutes in the world, because only 1/20 of our funds come from the public sector. We are specialized in AT because we've got a cross-disciplinary approach, because innovation comes from the contamination of different universes. We are based on a cross-disciplinary approach. We've just signed an agreement with the Faculty of Medicine. So we are designing new agreements with the agri-food sector, and we are working on this interdisciplinary approach. Is it easy? No, it's not. As the architects were saying, the university professor is the prototype of the architect, and every professor of architecture thinks the best. Some people left because they couldn't stand this contamination of science. And we also work closely with enterprises. The problem is, in Italy, we've been working with the same companies for years. We've got a university foundation for cooperation with companies, but the culture of Italian companies is very far from cooperation with universities. But what do your projects deal with? Can you give us some examples? Well, we work with almost all the main companies of the country. For example, Eni, Vodafone, TIM, Lamborghini, not Ferrari, Airbnb. There are tens of companies with opened research centers which do not work. When an Italian company gets in touch with us, and I'm talking about large companies with billions of euros of turnover, but they have a family-centered approach. They ask for help for a 5-year project. And we work with Italian companies who would like, for example, in the field of automotive, who would like us to help them. And Lamborghini, I'm quoting Lamborghini, which has the advantage of being owned by a German owner. So we've got a foreign player from outside Europe who asks us to create a lab which simulates the experience of use of the car. And the purpose is to identify the elements of the future interface, which is the software which allows the customer to choose the car, because a car is chosen for complementary services, not for mobility. Mobility is the sine qua non. So what happens? For 5 years, we work together with engineers, with designers, with mechanical engineers, and in 5 years, we will work together towards this goal. So the world of universities, the academic world, has its problems because we do not speak the same language as the entrepreneur. At the Polytechnical Institute, at least 20% of stakeholders do speak this language. But the problem is we're working with the same companies over and over again in Italy or with multinational companies, and they're not frequently European companies. This has allowed us to gain a lot of money, and we can compete with Zurich, with the Stockholm Institute of Technology, with the Imperial College of London, and so on and so forth. So this work is an extraordinary source of financing for Polytechnical Institute, which we then reinvest in technology and innovation. So this is an invitation. Is this an invitation? Yes, of course, but with a different mindset, with a different opening of the mind, even in a pre-competitive logic. You are from the fast-moving consumer goods universe, right? So I don't want to go into detail, but right now there are companies who are sharing their data on customers. Do you get that? They're sharing their data on customers. Why? Because they can achieve a scale economy on data, not on systems, not on plans, but on data. They can develop knowledges and synergies. Those who work in the food and grocery sector, in the pet food sector, well, they deal with the same customer. So why shouldn't they share and save? When we say that Amazon is an excellent technological player, we're lying. Because in this way, we think that Amazon is something totally different from us. Amazon wins because it is customer-focused. In a multinational, in a Swiss multinational, I was called to work with some years ago. I saw that each business unit wanted to develop their technological best practice to be included in a headquarter at the center of Europe. And my first comment was, and I was fired for that, was, have you ever thought that the same customer buying pet food is the same customer buying toothpaste. Have you ever seen how Amazon works? Amazon has this at the center of its action. I think that for this Swiss company, it will be very difficult to work and fight the competition by Amazon. Thank you. Thank you very much.